Jim, congratulations, through to the next round of the FA Trophy. Pleased with the performance today?
Yeah, I thought we looked pretty strong in the first half. We talked about in training about perhaps playing a little bit more direct to put them on the back foot and then pressing in midfield, and I think to a certain extent that worked quite well. Exposed their back four a little bit, but they played a shape that causes a few difficulties, and we had to kind of manage that a little bit better in the first half and make a few changes in the second half. And as the game wore on, obviously they become more aggressive in their shape, so we did need to make a few changes.
It's an old saying, goals change games, and the penalty certainly seemed to change their momentum a little bit. They created a couple of chances after that. What did you make of the penalty?
The lads were quite confused because the referee initially couldn't point out who was responsible, and then I think he sort of stuck the blame on Jason. You know, I've said consistently about fouls costing you games. There was a foul before that by Smalling, there was another one by Scott Duxbury. You shouldn't really be giving teams like that an opportunity to get the ball in the box and you know, get bodies in there. So look, we didn't pay the price for that today. I felt in the first half they played a very strange system, like with the back five, but played three midfielders with one right winger. So Harry was caught between stools on the left, and I felt that most of their danger came down our left, and that's not the fault of. Perhaps that was what Phil was talking about frustrating the opposition and playing to the weakness. They wanted to go down our right. Obviously our strength was on the other side because we had Dan as an outlet constantly, with Callum wide, and with Darren floating in. We looked, that was our strong side, and when we played to that, we looked like scoring like the goal. But when they played down the other side, so we had to find the right balance in the second half, and I think we did that, especially when we changed to a bit more of a balanced shape.
Your substitutes came on at crucial times, I thought, and really gave you a bit of extra zip when you needed it in the game today. And of course, one of them scored a goal. And that was a habit last season, wasn't it? Substitutes scoring goals. It started again. Yeah,
well, I think the main change, though, the really important change I felt was that, and I should have made it earlier if I'm going to be critical to myself. I thought Harry sat in front of the back four. But Harry was getting sucked into midfield, and so was Dan. And then when Craig Keighren stepped off Harry, it was 2v2, and it was epitomised with a really glorious chance he had to make it 2-2 when Craig Keighren slipped. Look, we've been strength testing the lads over the last sort of 6 months, and consistently Smalley, Clarkey and Harry Winter are the lowest scorers in the counter-measure jump and some of the dynamic movements, and I think they got a little bit exposed at times by Craig Keighren and Williams playing up against the back two. I took Harry out and dropped Jimmy back there, and that was the first change. And I thought Jimmy was, I mean, forget about Gary's energy and that, but Jimmy was excellent in the sort of, if you want a better expression, the 8 role, the attacking midfield. But when he went back to 4, I thought that tightened up. We brought in, went to kind of a more of a 4-4-1-1, so Harry wasn't being pulled into midfield with Callum in front of him. So we played our shape a little bit better, and the back 4 looks more solid with Jimmy in front, and that 5 sort of looked fairly resilient. And then it was just a question of whether we had the quality in the subs to get out of our half and create opportunities. But I'm delighted for Bowen because he's a little bit frustrated to be out the side, and he's put a stamp on that position now. Like I said, but we've got a good bench. I mean, you know, if Scott Duxbury could have started, Bowen could have started in the 10 role, Alan Thomas and Ben McKenna after the way they played. Could only get 3 of them on today, but I thought it was a good group effort, a good team effort.
And not an easy place to come, is it, on a difficult playing surface as well?
Yeah, well, I think they lost the last home game, but apparently the pitch was very boggy and they couldn't move the ball around. I thought they got, by and large, they got the shape right for themselves. Perhaps they struggled a little bit to deal with our threat down the right, but they obviously were mindful of Jason. They had 3 centre backs marking him, and he still got up, and a fantastic cross from Dan Powell. And once again, he took off from where he finished on last Saturday. So credit to Dan, excellent defending and starting to get up the pitch and create goals. I think we had probably 2 assists from Mark Ross all of last year, and we've had that 2 in 2 weeks from Dan. And so I'm delighted for him getting up the pitch and contributing now. And but like I said, Jason did what he did. You know, and Gary does what he does, is hustle people and hassle people, and it wasn't an easy finish because it was a difficult one, and he showed great composure. So I'm delighted for him, and I'm also delighted for Bob when he came on, and obviously he put the game to bed and took whatever last energy they had, and our fans could relax and enjoy the last 5 minutes.
So 1 defeat in 9, it's a bit of momentum now. Is that something you can carry into the league campaign, do you hope?
Well, I said in my pre-match interview about how, looking at the fixtures, and there's no respect to Keighren or Lancaster, Keighren and Alfreton, that these are games that really, if we want to be contenders, we need to be winning and putting on a good show. And if we put on the sort of show we did and putting the effort that we did against Spennymoor and Lancaster here, then we can go and win those games. The difficult places, Keighren and Alfreton away, and then in New Year's we'll have the likes of Salford. But from our perspective, I just said pre-match that if we work hard, keep strong, get better, improve them little areas like such as set plays, then there's every chance that we could be in the new year in the playoffs and still in the FA Trophy, which would be a great position to be in.
You'd like to be managing back at Wembley again, would you?
Well, look, it's a long way off. I mean, and there's a lot of hurdles to go before there. We've done the business, and it was a difficult, getting Gary Stopford, tireless work in getting him behind Southport's back four and playing it back for Darren to get us into the hat, and perhaps that cost us a little bit in the Brackley game, which is the only defeat in the last 9. But the lads are starting to graft, and we're starting to find out what our idiosyncrasies are and what we are. But we've got a lot of key players performing and doing what they're paid to do. We just need to get the others up to speed now, and then we'll be a force.
And you can enjoy your Christmas do tonight. Well done.
Yeah, well, just a nice meal, and like I said, the lads will enjoy themselves. But it was difficult for Spennymoor. They got beaten last week, but I said to them, look, they've got to take stock on the whole season, and I think the lads will enjoy themselves tonight and think, well, they're great result in that, but hopefully they'll come away from it and think, taking stock on the games we've played so far and where we're at the new year, they want to be working hard for, so they can have the real party, which is at the end of the season when you achieve something.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thanks so much.